Human Men, Part 1. Ethan Carter stared out of the viewport of his small spacecraft, heart thumping. Below him stretched the vast purple and green jungles of Zithera 6, the home world of the Zitherians. Floating above the planet was a palace unlike anything he had ever seen, a gleaming structure of crystal and metal, hovering like a jewel in the sky. His mission was simple in theory. Look after Princess Lyra, the youngest daughter of the Zitherian royal family. Easy pay, a few weeks in luxury, or so he thought. Ethan had been warned that she was difficult, but no one had told him she treated human men the way she did. Now stepping onto the sky bridge of the palace, he immediately felt out of place. Everything about Zitherian architecture seemed designed to overwhelm. Ceilings that shimmered with moving colors, floors that glowed faintly, and corridors that curved in impossible angles. He wondered if the architects of this place even cared about human perspective, or if humans were simply amusing. A guard led him through the main hall to the throne chamber. There, seated on a floating platform of polished obsidian, was Princess Lyra. She was tall by human standards, with luminous violet eyes and hair that seemed to move slightly as if alive. Her gaze swept over him, appraising, calculating, playful. She smiled. Not a welcoming smile, but one that promised challenge. "You must be Ethan Carter," she said, her voice musical but sharp. "The human hired to entertain me while I endure my duties." She tilted her head. "I hope you are clever." "Humans are said to be clever." "I will see if it is true," Ethan swallowed. I will do my best, Princess Lyra." "Do my best is a good start," she said, rising with feline grace. She circled him slowly, her eyes glinting. "But here in my world, best is relative, and humans are so fragile." She laughed softly, a sound like chimes in the wind. "We shall see how fragile you are." From that moment, Ethan realized he was in for something more than caretaking. Lyra wanted to test him, every step, every word, every gesture. And Ethan would have to prove himself in ways no human manual could prepare him for. The first day was exhausting. Lyra demanded that Ethan accompany her on her morning exercise, a kind of training humans could barely imagine. The palace gravity fluctuated slightly to challenge balance, and the corridors rotated subtly to make navigation tricky. Ethan stumbled more than once, crashing into walls and nearly tripping over hovering furniture. Each mistake earned a soft laugh from the princess, sharp yet amused. "You humans are amusing," she said. "But sometimes amusing is helpful." She demonstrated a move with her legs that defied gravity and landed perfectly, her arms flowing like liquid. "Try again, faster, smarter, think beyond your body." Ethan gritted his teeth and tried. Using instincts he didn't know he had, he managed a maneuver that almost worked. Lyra's smile widened. "Better, almost like you might survive this world." After the exercise, she dragged him to the dining hall. Meals were another challenge. Zitherians ate in a way that was an art form, floating spoons, magnetic plates, and flavors that changed mid-chew. Ethan fumbled with utensils, sending a small piece of protein drifting across the room. Lyra clapped her hands lightly. "Bravo, you have learned mischief already. Is that good?" Ethan asked, trying to hide his embarrassment. "It is entertaining," she said. "For now." She leaned closer. "You will need to be clever, Ethan, otherwise I tire quickly of my entertainment." Days passed. Each day brought new trials. Lyra loved puzzles, especially those designed to frustrate humans. She introduced him to logic grids, alien math riddles, and cultural etiquette challenges that could make a human stumble in seconds. Ethan often wanted to give up, but he discovered something remarkable: human intuition. Where Zitherian methods were rigid, his thinking was flexible, adaptive. He solved a riddle about energy flow through the palace that had stumped an entire team of Zitherian scholars. Lyra's reaction was a mix of surprise and delight. You are not like the others," she said. "Humans are curious, adaptable, bold." She tilted her head. "I like that. But can you survive when it is not a test? When it is danger?" Her eyes sparkled. Ethan felt a chill. He was just a caretaker, or so he had thought. But here his mind and body were constantly pushed. Lyra's teasing, her challenges were more than fun. They were preparation. One evening, as the planet's 3 moons rose over the jungle canopy, Lyra led Ethan to the palace observation deck. "Tell me, Ethan," she said, leaning on the railing, "do you think humans are
brave?
I try to be," Ethan said, "when I must." She studied him silently, then smiled, sharp and playful. Try is not enough. You will need to act and survive. Let's see how your kind does under pressure. Before he could respond, alarms blared. Lights flashed red. A patrol droid rolled up, its sensors scanning rapidly. Unauthorized intrusion detected, it said in metallic monotone. Lyra's expression changed from playful to serious in a heartbeat. Intruders? Rare but not impossible. She turned to Ethan. This is your first real test. Do not fail. Ethan followed her through corridors that twisted and turned, gravity fluctuating, droids trying to block their path. Lyra moved with elegance, guiding him, giving instructions. And then, when a locked door blocked their escape route, Ethan acted. He examined the panel, improvising with a tool he had in his belt. With human intuition and quick logic, he bypassed the lock. The door slid open. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. Humans sometimes amaze me. You may have survived your first true danger. You are useful. She laughed softly, the tension breaking. But remember, Ethan, I am only beginning my lessons. Over the next few days, Ethan began to understand the rules of this strange world. Lyra's teasing was never cruel, only testing. Every challenge she gave him, every puzzle, every obstacle, was a way to see if he could think, adapt, and survive. He began to anticipate her moves, learning her patterns, and even managing to surprise her once or twice. That earned him a rare compliment. You are more stubborn than most humans. I like that. By the end of the week, Ethan felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. He was not just a caretaker. He was a participant in a game that tested the limits of human skill against alien perfection, and with every test he could feel the beginnings of mutual respect forming. One morning, as Ethan prepared for another round of challenges, Lyra appeared at his quarters, her expression unusually serious. You have done well, she said, pacing slowly. But survival here is not just about cleverness or courage. It is about trust. And trust is earned in fire. She handed him a small device, a simulation sphere, holographic and glowing. Inside this, you will face a scenario that even humans rarely survive. Fail, and you will learn humility. Succeed, and you may earn something, more than survival. Ethan took a deep breath. He was exhausted, bruised, and pushed to his limits, but he was ready. Whatever Princess Lyra had planned, he would meet it head-on. Humans were adaptable, courageous, and clever. And if he could prove that, maybe, just maybe, he could survive not only the palace, but also the wild, unpredictable mind of a Zitherian princess. Lyra watched him closely. Her violet eyes glimmered with curiosity, amusement, and something else, respect. You've done well, but surviving me is only the beginning. And with that, Ethan stepped into the holographic sphere, unaware that the real tests, outside the palace, beyond alien technology, and in the political shadows of Zethera 6 were only just beginning. Human Men, Part 2. The holographic sphere flickered to life, wrapping Ethan in shifting colors and shapes. The simulation projected the palace under attack, alarms blaring, corridors collapsing, and strange figures moving in the shadows. He realized immediately that this was more than a test of intelligence, it was a test of courage, intuition, and speed. Princess Lyra's voice echoed in the sphere, calm yet teasing. Survive this, human. Prove that your kind can rise above fear. Ethan's heart pounded. He ran through the simulated hallways, dodging falling beams and leaping over widened gaps. His hands ached from gripping railing and tools, but he pushed on. Every instinct he had learned from the past week, the moves, the patterns, the improvisation came into play. He discovered that the simulation was not just a game. It was training him for something real. And then, just as he reached what looked like a safe zone, the holographic walls melted into darkness. Ethan froze. He could hear faint metallic footsteps. Shapes moved in the shadows faster than his eyes could follow. He understood instantly. This was a test of human intuition. He had to act without knowing exactly what he faced. Drawing on what he knew from Earth, patterns of movement, sounds, and probability, Ethan picked a path and sprinted, rolling over a simulated obstacle just as an energy trap fired past him. Heart racing, he reached the core of the simulation, a chamber glowing with a soft blue light. There, floating in midair, was a holographic version of Princess Lyra. Well, she said, her voice calm and teasing, you are still alive. That is unexpected. Ethan smiled, panting. I survived. Because I had to. Humans are persistent. Lyra's violet eyes gleamed. Persistent, clever, brave. Perhaps you are not so fragile after all, but persistence alone does not save you from the real world. Before he could ask what she meant, the simulation ended. The sphere dissolved, leaving Ethan in her quarters. Lyra stood silently watching him. You have done well, Ethan, but now, the real tests begin. 3 days later, Ethan learned just how real Lyra's tests could be. A group of rival Zitherian nobles had plotted to kidnap her and use her as leverage in a political maneuver. Their stealth ships approached the palace undetected, cloaked by advanced technology. Only the palace security droids noticed the anomaly, and Ethan had been assigned to monitor them. Ethan, Lyra said, her expression serious for the first time. This is not a simulation. These intruders are real. You must act quickly. He felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. His training in the simulation, his observations of Lyra's patterns, his own human intuition, all of it clicked. I understand, Princess. Show me the way. She led him through hidden corridors past traps only she knew existed. They reached a control chamber where security panels blinked red. Ethan quickly analyzed the patterns of the intruder's movement. Using a combination of the palace's alien technology and his improvisation skills, he rerouted defense drones, sealed key doors, and created safe paths for Lyra to escape. Lyra watched him silently, impressed. You think like a human, she said. But humans sometimes think better than we do. Together they moved through the palace, evading the intruders and turning traps against them. Ethan even improvised a diversion. He set up a holographic projection of Lyra in the royal chambers while the real princess moved through a hidden service corridor. When the intruders followed the projection, the defense drones neutralized them efficiently. It was chaotic. Lights flashed, alarms screamed, and the intruders' anger echoed through the palace. Ethan could feel the danger, could sense that one wrong step might end in disaster. Yet he pressed on, relying on human ingenuity, thinking fast, reacting faster. Finally, they reached the palace observation deck. The intruders had regrouped outside, preparing for a final assault. Ethan looked at Lyra. We need to act together. We can use the palace defenses, your tech and my human problem-solving. Lyra nodded, her violet eyes glowing with respect. You are unusual human. Very unusual. She adjusted a control panel, opening a concealed cannon that could target cloaked ships. Ethan noticed the targeting system required rapid calculations. Using a combination of logic and instinct, he suggested angles and timing sequences that Zitherian AI would not consider. When they fired, the ships were caught off guard. One by one, they were disabled or forced to retreat. The palace was safe. Lyra turned to Ethan, her expression a mixture of awe and delight. Humans, Earthmen, sometimes I wonder why I doubted you. You are extraordinary. Ethan, still catching his breath, grinned. I'm just trying to do my job. Lyra laughed, the sound musical and warm. Your job? No, Ethan, you have proven far more than a caretaker ever could. You have survived my tests, the simulation, and now, real danger. You are clever, brave, and adaptable. Truly human. For the first time, Ethan felt the weight of accomplishment. He had come as a hired human, uncertain and nervous. Now he had earned the respect of a Zitherian princess, one of the most cunning and unpredictable beings he had ever met. The following days were quieter, but still full of lessons. Lyra no longer tested him with pure mischief. Instead, she shared knowledge about her people, the politics of Zithra 6, and the unique challenges of ruling a planet. She asked questions that required Ethan to think critically, offering insights into human creativity that Zitherians never considered. One evening, as they overlooked the bioluminescent jungles from the palace balcony, Lyra spoke softly. Ethan, you have changed my perception of humans. We see your species as fragile, simple, amusing. But you are clever, unpredictable, and sometimes admirable. She tilted her head, studying him. You are not just a human hired to entertain me. You are something more? Ethan chuckled, a little embarrassed. I didn't expect this job to be so intense. Intense? Perhaps, she said. Dangerous? Sometimes. But necessary. You have earned my trust, human. Few ever do. For the first time, Ethan understood that his value was not just in strength or skill, but in his human qualities, adaptability, courage, creativity, and persistence. He realized that the humans who had explored the stars had always relied on these traits, and now he alone had proven them to a skeptical alien species. Weeks later, the palace held a celebration. Zitherian nobles, once dismissive of humans, now watched Ethan with cautious respect. Lyra stood beside him, publicly acknowledging his contribution during the recent threats. "You see," she said, addressing the assembly, "humans may seem small, fragile, but their minds, courage, and resourcefulness are extraordinary. This one," she gestured to Ethan, "has proven it," the nobles murmured, impressed. Ethan felt a flush of pride. He had not only survived the challenges, but he had also changed perceptions, proving that humans were a force to be reckoned with. Lyra leaned closer, her voice only for him. "You have survived me, Ethan. You have earned respect in a world where humans rarely do. And yet, I still enjoyed testing you." Ethan laughed. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Her violet eyes sparkled with amusement and admiration. "You are remarkable, and I'm curious to see how far your kind can go." Ethan smiled. He had started as a hired caretaker, uncertain and nervous. Now he was more than that. He was a partner, a strategist, and a human proving the strength of his species in ways the Zitherians had never imagined. As the moons rose over the glowing jungles of Zithera 6, Ethan looked out at the stars and thought of Earth. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated, but capable of extraordinary courage and brilliance. And here, on an alien world, he had proven it. Princess Lyra laughed beside him, a sound that promised new challenges, new adventures, and perhaps even respect born of genuine admiration. Ethan knew one thing for certain. In this strange, beautiful, and dangerous world, humans, especially him, could thrive, and he was ready for whatever came next.